Hi. You know what's nifty? Minivans. Yeah, we've been talking about them for a couple years now. In fact, we've featured the Chrysler Pacifica 2 other times before. We had the fully loaded limited model back in 2018, and then we also featured the plug-in hybrid last year, also a limited. But today we're looking at more of a affordable option for you. Our snapshot is on this 2020 Chrysler Pacifica Touring. Base MSRP is $44,295 Canadian. We've got a number of options on here, bringing the total up to $48,670. We've got the safety tech group, cold weather group, the red paint on here, the Uconnect with navigation, and also for the first time on the press fleet is an 8-passenger configuration. So 2 up front, 3 in the center, and 3 in the trunk. Now, why would you consider this? The whole point is it's the alternative to a crossover. Okay, the 2020 does not have all-wheel drive, but for some people, it doesn't really matter. And especially with a vehicle like this, if you have a full load of passengers or cargo, the rear wheels will have enough traction that all-wheel drive might not make a difference. Now, again, why would you consider this? It's a little pricey. In fact, if you compare it to the other 3 minivans sold here in Canada, the Kia Sedona, Honda Odyssey, and Toyota Sienna, this does end up being a little pricier. It uses a 3.6-liter Pentastar V6 engine, 287 horsepower, 262 pound-feet of torque with a 9-speed transmission. Now, you don't get a ton with this. You have halogen headlights and fog lights. With the Touring trim, we have tri-zone automatic climate control. You have a center console with cup holders, LED tail lamps, the premium fog lamps. I don't know how premium they really are. And with the trim below, above the base model, it added the Touring suspension, front and rear floor mats, and automatic headlights. So it's okay for about $48,000. Navigation is nice. But for what people are looking for in a vehicle, if you want a new vehicle and have enough space to be able to fit both people and cargo, this is a good option, because we find a lot of the crossovers now, if you need 3 rows, you get no trunk space. With this, you still have some trunk space to work with. Plus, the seating for 8 is pretty comfortable, similar to what we saw on a big vehicle like the Kia Telluride. But if you go up to their top-end trim, you lose out on the 8-passenger seating. And here's why I say that this is the cure for the common crossover, because it still drives like a car. And that's why I like driving the Pacifica. And that's why we named it one of our best vehicles for 2018, and why we really liked it last year with the plug-in, because when you're getting in and out of it, it's like a car. I keep forgetting that I don't have to put my foot over a huge door jamb to get out of a crossover or SUV. It's a flat floor, and that's the whole point of buying this specific car with the stow and go seating. Put all the seats flat and you've got tons of cargo space. And with the new Chrysler Voyager / Grand Caravan, I don't like that. Let me know in the comments below. If you're watching on mobile or you're watching on your computer, you can click the link in the top right corner of your screen now to vote. Do you prefer the Chrysler Voyager name or the new Canadian exclusive Chrysler Grand Caravan? I'm going with Voyager. That's coming in with a new entry-level price to make it more competitive at the entry level, and still retaining this design language, because as we already know, the 2021 gets a facelift. So they're doing sort of what Apple does. When they come out with a new product, they give you the old product for less. That's still pretty good. That's what they're doing for this for 2021. Continuing with this design as a different model and having the new one cost a little bit more. So let's jump in now. We'll talk about everything else you need to know if you're in the market for an 8-passenger vehicle and why you should really consider a minivan. I've driven so many crossovers over the years. It's always refreshing to get behind the wheel of a minivan. And I know for a lot of people, the minivan is a dirty word. It's something that you don't want to buy, but there's just so much functionality with this vehicle that if you're in the market for a multi-configuration vehicle, this is the way to do it. I mean, I remember when I had the first one, it was really useful. I had family over, so they were able to use all 3 rows, but then in some cases, I just needed the cargo space, folded everything flat, and I had like a huge amount of storage space. Now we've got this configured with the 8-passenger. The 3rd row is flat right now just because I don't need it. I mean, I don't even know 8 people, so I couldn't fit an entire busload of people into this vehicle, but still, you've got that if you need it. And there's a bunch of 8-passenger vehicles out there. The most affordable is the Chevy Traverse. You get the base model. That would be the absolute most affordable. But there is something about this Pacifica that I really like, which, to be fair, the base model of any of these other 8-passenger vehicles, any of the other mid-size crossovers, mid-size SUVs, or the other minivans, they're all going to be front-wheel drive as well. So it's not going to matter too much if you're going for price. I just like the way that it drives. It really does feel like a car, albeit a slightly taller car because of the overall roof length, and you do sit a little bit higher. It just drives so well. And it's funny, we think back a couple weeks, I had the 2020 Chrysler 300, and I just kind of was meh. Even though it's the same engine, it's the Pentastar V6, it just didn't really push my buttons. It's because I guess you could go up to the V8 and there was a lot of other options that could have been selected for that car. When it comes to this, even though I'm missing out on all the fun luxury stuff that we had on the other Pacificas, I really do like driving this just because it's what you need. It's not more than what you need, it's exactly what people want. And that's why the Pacifica sells well enough, and why I'm thinking, aside from the name change to the Chrysler Grand Caravan, I think that that will sell well. Which is part of the reason why we're doing this, even though we already know the 2021's coming and it's going to look really nice. It's going to have that Pinnacle trim way at the top, an ultra luxury version. You have all-wheel drive, even though the plug-in will not have all-wheel drive. You have to stick with the front for that one. But you're getting more with the new facelift. This is continuing on under that Grand Caravan nameplate. So maybe you're watching this today, kind of curious what you're going to be getting. And yeah, you're going to get most of what you see here. You do lose out on some of it, but the important stuff is there. The power sliding doors, that's kind of the big feature for this vehicle, and you get it base. You can open them up from inside, from the key fob, from the back, everywhere. There's so many ways you can open up the side doors. It's just really easy, especially if you have kids. My kid's 6, right? She's gonna be 7 pretty soon, but I still find it really easy just to double click that button, open up the side door. She can run into the car, and then I can close it, and she can close it. I mean, she's smart enough to do it on her own. But I just like having that there so that I'm in control. I don't have to worry about the doors getting dinged when she jumps out of it. So there's functionality with those doors. The space ride, everything really works on this. That's why I wasn't disappointed to book the 2020, even though we know the better one is coming, because there's still good value with this vehicle. It's just a little pricey, that's the thing. That's one of the reasons why it's kind of holding back. If you compare it directly to the other minivans, this is the most expensive when you configure it with essentially the same kit, but you have to go after the crossover market. The front wheel drive 8-passenger crossover market, they're quite a bit more expensive, and you lose out on some stuff. Yeah, HomeLink is nice to have on this trim. The sliding doors is a cool thing. Power trunk is nice. Plus, one of the benefits of going with the Pacifica over the direct minivan competition is you can configure things like navigation on this that you would have to go up in a lot of other trims for. So you can get some of the stuff, like, I mean, if you don't want leather seats, but you still want to have navigation, you can go with this. If you want to have some of the safety tech, again, you can go with this. I mean, we don't have all of it, but I could have had adaptive cruise control and all the blind spot monitoring, lane keep assist, everything, the full suite of it. But blind spot monitoring is good enough. The backup camera works well with rear cross traffic alert. It's kind of what you need. One advantage Chrysler has over Honda, Kia, and Toyota is the ability to have incentives on this vehicle. They do have larger margins, and they can discount these vehicles a little heavier than you can from the competition. So if you look back at the 2018 showdown we did on this versus the Kia Sedona, even though the pricing was astronomically different MSRP, the actual out-the-door price was almost the same because these get heavier discounts. The thing is, I've heard from so many people on the comments from either the showdown that we did comparing this to the Kia Sedona or the 2 individual episodes that we've done on the Pacifica over the years. People absolutely love this vehicle, and so do I. I mean, that's the reason why it was named one of the best vehicles that we drove in 2018, because there is so much good about it. It's not the sexiest vehicle out there. It's not the car that the enthusiasts are going to be driving and reviewing, but for the people who actually buy cars because they need something and not because they want something, this is a seriously good option. I just like the flexibility that it gives you, and that's, again, the key when it comes to this. You have flexibility over a crossover, because with a crossover, you're essentially stuck with what they give you. You can configure it with the seating and whatever you want, but because FCA is so good giving you the options that you want on whatever trim you end up selecting, you can get the exact minivan you want. The stow and go seating is excellent, with the fact that you have storage in the floor if you're using the seats, so you can put more stuff in there. It really is the ultimate family hauler, and it's also the ultimate everything hauler. You don't have to have a family. That's why I was wrong in 2018, and I was very quickly corrected by those commenters who said that they have bought these even though they don't have a family. So you can use it for pretty much anything. And I think it's a good thing that Chrysler's continuing this vehicle under the Chrysler nameplate. It makes sense. Keep Dodge as the performance company, get rid of the Caravan, because, oh boy, that thing really, it's dated. I just still don't like the name of it. But whatever you go with, whether it's the Pacifica or the new Grand Caravan or the Voyager in the US, you're going to enjoy it. They have come out with a seriously good minivan here, and as far as I'm concerned, it is a compelling reason not to buy a crossover. To get something that is different, functional, flexible, and ultimately drives really, really well.